and welcome back to Best in the Biz, the pod talking business with CNA student and alumni entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Ian McDonald, and today with me is Ali Lynch, a student for manufacturing mechanical engineering at Ridge Road campus in St. John's. So, welcome, Ali.
Hi, Ian. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, of course, thanks for being here. Much appreciated. So, tell me a little bit about RAR Innovations and what your business is all about.
Okay, well, RAR Innovations is a woman owned and operated innovative tech company based out of St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador. It's me and two of my best friends who are also in my class, Rachel Hedges and Rona Quico. Right now, we're currently focused on my patented invention, the lickety splint, and the research and development that goes into that.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the product. What is the lickety splint?
Okay, so the lickety splint is a one-piece wrappable splint that you can self-apply. It has compressive capabilities and it's very efficient. Um, we did a time study in comparing it to the three most common used emergency splints on the market. And the lickety splint was actually 78.6 to 90% more efficient in application in comparison to those. Yeah. So,
Wow, wow, that's huge. That's those are some big numbers, right? And especially in a life or death situation, every second counts, eh?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I understand you did an entrepreneurial work term here at CNA. So can you tell me a little bit about how that went in terms of how you dealt with the Technology Access Center that CNA has, and what kind of supports were there for you?
Yeah, so at ORI, or Office of Applied Research and Innovation, I had access to the innovative prototyping lab, and they have a ton of 3D printers and advanced manufacturing capabilities there. I also was able to avail of all of the consumables, so the filament, all of the materials as well. Me and the girls were able to further our design and play around with dimensioning and things like that. We also had access to the staff who were great, and they gave us a lot of feedback, and like we were able to shape our we developed two working prototypes, two different sizes, one for the arm and one for the leg, during our 4 month work term.
Fantastic. Jeez,
Yeah,
got a lot done in a short time.
it was killer.
Awesome. Awesome. And you talked about, how the reduction in time is such a big thing and such a big, I would say, advantage for lickety splint, the time reduction. So, what were the main factors behind this design? And, how do you see those impacting different emergency situations?
Well, I was a nurse for 10 years before going
Okay.
back to school in my 30s. I was a nurse for 10 years. So I actually came up to lickety splint while I was working. I wanted one. I wanted something that I could wrap, but while it was wrapping, it was keeping the leg at the time straight and still.
Yep.
So I had started coming up with things, but what I've always pictured it in the hands of is military medics.
Okay.
So, like, you can imagine they're in a fast pace, dangerous scenario, and they have the need to be able to get injured people out of the scenario quickly. And I feel like that could really benefit them.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in
Yeah.
those, like you said, the military situations, it would
Yeah.
definitely be a benefit to them. How do you see it in more of a recreational kind of sense? Do you think it would be great for sports and things like that?
Definitely. So sports as well. And it's so quick and easy to use. It could also be, I'd love to see it in first aid kits for the regular Joe who just,
For
their
sure.
kid fell off their bike, or they have it in their first aid kit in their cars, or in every workplace. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a big thing right now too. Workplace
Yeah.
safety. So that could be a good fit for sure. So you talked a little bit about, dealing with the military and things like that. So it seems like it's a business to business type model. Um, so what are the challenges and also the opportunities for working with different organizations such as, Department of National Defense, public safety agencies, anything like that?
The challenges is definitely like for the medical device manufacturing industry. There's a lot of regulations, like regulatory pathways that need to be followed before even marketing
Yeah.
to anybody. The medical device has to be classified like a classification, like one, two, three, or four.
Okay.
So you need to have that done. So me and the girls, well, for opportunities, me and the girls had discussions with some representatives from the St. John Ambulance division here in St. John's, and we actually did a survey with them to discuss how many splint supplies they had like in their storefront, like how many they sold in a year.
Okay.
And so that gave us some, market research. And we also were introduced to two of their first aid instructors.
Nice.
So then, yeah, so then they agreed to test our prototype so they could give us feedback because they're the ones who are going to use it. Well, some of the people who might use it, first responders. So we're hoping to get a lot of value feedback. We haven't done that yet, but we're hoping to within the next few months.
Yeah, that should be really good, especially, building those connections early with St. John's Ambulance, getting your foot in the door with them, talking to them, that's all important pieces of the puzzle going forward. Yeah, awesome. So talking about market research a bit, was there any tips or tricks, especially in the health sector? It's, health sector tech is a big sector right now, and it seems to be growing at a really fast pace. So how did you tackle the market analysis for the lickety splint?
So first of all, I was introduced to a co. Well, it was Roxanne Madison, Madigan.
Yep,
Hold on, Madigan. Is that it?
Madigan. Yep,
Okay. Okay. So I was introduced to Roxanne Madigan from ACOA, which is the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency.
you got it.
Um, and they are incredible over there. And they, like, we described, me and the girls, we described like what we wanted from Lickety Splint, what industry we were trying to get into. And Roxanne, like, offered all of these amazing marketing research sources and from different things and different competition analysis and what the market is looking like and different regulations that we'd have to and big players in the market at the moment, and pathways for small businesses as well, like SMEs going
Awesome.
through. So yeah, it was real. I would say a COA, like that's
One of
a
the best
really good
spots,
place
eh?
to start. Yeah, and also looking like doing research online for like what you think your competitors are. See what works for them. You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
for example, for us, it was like Sam Medical or like 3M with their tensor bandages and things like that. Like looking at their business model and seeing what worked for them and if that could translate with us or how that would, but just picking up tricks that way too.
Yeah, no doubt. It seems like you need to explore a lot of different pathways, right? Like the good, information that comes from a COA is great, and you also need to explore the different competitors in the market and stuff as well, right? So it's a lot of work goes into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was the longest part of the business plan creation. But I learned the most too
Yeah,
from that. I learned a lot from that as well, and like different criteria that we'd have to meet to reach a standard.
yeah,
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
very important part for sure. So talking about, building that business plan, can you talk about some of the valuable connections you had during the work term with different organizations? There was Bounce Health, the YMCA, Enlo, and some others.
Of course, I actually have some written down because I didn't want to forget them. Just give me one second.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so we met with Ted Cadigan. He's a senior business consultant at YMCA NL. He helped us like with our startup decisions,
Yep.
like for financing, and also with the business plan, like the aspects of the business plan. He was very helpful. We also met up with Deborah Uden. She's an export consultant at NLO, which is Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs. She's fabulous too. She gave us a lot of information about exporting from Canada to the US because that would be a big market for us as well.
Okay.
Um, and she was also when we presented our pitch. She was also on the panel of judges to give us feedback as well. So that was really important. Let's see. Oh, Deanne McCarthy. Oh my God. So Deanne McCarthy, she is a Newfoundland and Labrador nurse, and she's also an inventor. So like, hello, I was like, oh my God, goals. So she's the inventor of the Swift Shore Swish Kit, which is an oral hygiene device for people who are intubated. And it's just incredible. So me and the girls got to talk with her. We just reached out to her. We went on LinkedIn and
That's
got
awesome.
her to contact. And she was so open to communicating with us. And like she had meetings with us. She discussed how to do a proper pitch, gave us a bunch of sources, and she offered to be one of our mentors. So incredible there
Wow.
too. She's fabulous. Let's see. Oh, Libby Carew. She's regional intellectual property counselor at Springboard Atlantic Incorporated.
Yep.
She has like hooked us up with a lot of different like innovation, like seminars and like information sessions. I'm still getting emails like a lot from Libby actually, and like different things for IP and stuff, which is really important as well.
Yeah, big time,
Um,
especially in your business.
right, protect yourself, of
Yep,
course.
exactly.
Uh, so Libby's a fabulous one to have on the books as well. Let's see. Oh, we got to go on a tour to Poly Unity. The girls and I did, and we
Very
met
nice.
Clayton Olford over there. And they over there are doing a lot of advanced manufacturing as well for like medical innovation technology.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to get to see an actual place that's set up to do like kind of the thing that we're hoping to do. You
Yeah,
know,
large scale.
right, and they offered a lot of insight as well, like and different things we could look at for different resources for understanding regulatory pathways and sources. So that was really interesting. Who else did we get? Oh, of course, Andy Fisher from Bounce Health Innovation. He's fabulous. He's the director over there. They're an incubator company, so they help innovators here in Newfoundland and Labrador get funding and navigate regulatory pathways, and they get a lot of advice and mentorship. They're fabulous.
Specifically for
Um,
health tech, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
And Andy, so he helped us out. They offered us funding for work done by PASB Technical Solutions Incorporated to help us navigate the regulatory pathways and to get a risk classification of the lickety splint,
Wow.
which was it's a class 1 in Canada and the US. So that's fabulous too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big thing to know.
Yeah, for sure. And that helps too, go, find out what pathway we need to go because it's
Yeah,
different for each different classification. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
that's awesome. That's really good. It seems like you built a lot of great connections over the course of 4 short months.
I know, it's insane. We did so much stuff. It's fabulous. It blows me away.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm
it's a great
like,
four
that's not
months.
me. Yeah.
CNA's Entrepreneurship Hub is your one-stop shop for entrepreneurial support. Looking for business guidance, workshops, mentorship, or other services to take your business to the next level? Check us out at cna.nl.ca/entrepreneurship. Now, back to our episode.
So, as a sole kind of partnership right now with partners, what kind of strategies do you employ to ensure effective collaboration throughout the team?
Okay, so I took this Gallup Clifton Strengths Finder quiz like early on in our because I from a LinkedIn learning thing. They
Yep.
suggested doing it, and so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I suggested that the girls do it too. So we all did it. And then we all got each other's top strengths, and we were able to know like what everybody's top strengths were, which I thought was like so helpful. Like
That is
in
helpful. Yeah.
it was so helpful because then it was like, oh well, like I'll tackle this because this is my strength, and you tackle this because this is your strength.
Yep.
So that's what we always do. We kind of divide Rachel is she's our technical director, and so she handles things with regards to like information and formatting into like say what a business plan would be,
Yep.
and Rona is our strategic designer, and so anything that's to do with like prototyping and materials
Okay.
and processes and design, Rona would handle those, and we all defer to each other for those things, right? And
Of
anything to
course.
do
Yeah.
with networking or like the lickety splint itself would be me, right? Just because that's how it works. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, we always communicate like, oh, and after any meeting we had with like external folks,
Yep.
we would stay on the call. They'd hang up, and the girls and I would always stay on call for at least 15 minutes just to
Awesome.
be like, how did you feel about that? What do you think? Like,
Yeah, a little debrief.
right. And so like I found that really helpful. We talk every couple of days. We're always on they're on a different work. I'm on a work term right now here at Office of Applied Research and Innovation. and they're on a different one at Genoa.
Okay.
And but we're still on teams. Like, oh my god, what's up? Like,
Perfect.
you
Yeah, I got to stay tightly connected, obviously.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, still the
fantastic.
team.
Exactly, exactly. So you talked about some complexities about, regulatory pathways, securing patents, all that kind of stuff. So how did you kind of navigate that when starting a business in this, med tech sector? And how did you kind of deal with all those things along the way?
Okay, so for the patent, I actually went with the. I was 23 when I came up to Lickety Split, so it was 11 years ago. But anyway, I mean, 2 years ago. I actually like didn't know anything about it. I like went online and looked it up. I ended up finding a company that was with the USPTO, so the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So that's where my patent actually is, in the United States.
Okay.
But since then, I've done a ton of research into Canadian patents because I have like 112 other ideas that need to be researched and see if they're patentable.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research there, but it's the same process basically. It takes about between 2 to 4 years to actually get the patent,
Wow.
and it's about $15,000, give or take.
Okay.
And and you get you get examined. You have to work with. I would suggest working with a lawyer when you're drafting up a patent because there's a lot
Definitely.
of legal jargon. There's no way I would know any of that at all. Like, there's no way.
Me and you both.
I've read my patent 100 times and been like, I have no idea. Like, but yeah, but you work with lawyers and they work with you to kind of bring your idea to life, and an engineering team as well.
Hmm.
They'll try to like they made a drawing of like what at the time I wasn't. That's why I went into manufacturing, because I only had a medical background. I didn't know anything about like materials or drawings or anything,
Yep.
designing. So yeah. And oh yeah, so it took 4 years
Yep.
and for me. And but yeah, what was the other
The
question you had?
regulatory pathways. So would you say probably connection building is one of the most important avenues in terms of that?
Yes, definitely. Because, Bounce, like if I hadn't met Andy Fisher, who introduced us to PASB Technical Solutions, I would
Yep.
have no idea, like, on how to navigate what, like, say, the FDA would want from us in order to approve it to go to the market.
Yep.
And they sat down with us and gave us like a bunch of lessons and a bunch of resources and specific to our device too,
Wow.
not just like,
Yeah,
so that was
general things. Yeah,
right.
very
Yeah,
specific. That's always important as well. Be as specific as you can be.
for sure.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, so last question here. What
Okay.
advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur?
I have a few, Ian.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Let's hear
I
them.
do. Okay. So I'm going to recommend that you and your team, anybody who's an entrepreneur or just you, take a strengths quiz, like to figure out what your strengths are. That has helped a lot, and it helps you understand what your bank of knowledge and skills are, or what you can elevate.
Yep.
I would definitely recommend that. I would. And don't be afraid to get additional education in your field that you want to go in. And I know I've been fortunate enough that I was able to go back to school in my 30s and afford it. Not
That's
everybody
right.
has
Yeah.
that. But there's also LinkedIn Learning. There's also YouTube. There's a bunch of different resources out there. Like, get to know your industry, get to know your lane, where you want to go.
Yep.
That one. Oh, mentorship is huge. It's a massive. It is. You need it. Like, you need mentorship. You have to have it. It's the biggest key to success, in my opinion. And be willing to take constructive criticism from those mentors. Like, kind of check your ego. I've had to check my own ego at the door a couple times. Like, okay, I trust your judgment. So, like, I worked on that for 17 hours, but okay.
Yeah,
But it's important because, like, it does make you better. It makes you a better innovator. It makes you a better entrepreneur.
for sure.
And lastly, ask a pile of questions. Like, me and the girls' mantra throughout the entire work term and entrepreneur experience has been, the worst they can say is no. Like, that's the
So
very
true.
worst thing. So ask them, like ask for what you want. If you want a meeting with some CEO of whatever, don't be like they won't talk to me. They probably will. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
chances are.
The worst they can say is no. Then move on, you know? So yeah, that'd be my advice too.
Awesome. That's some great advice all around. Yeah, some full circle advice. That's awesome. So thanks a lot, Ali, for chatting with me today. Would you like to share your socials before we clue this up?
Thank you for having me, Ian. And you can reach me or on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You can just look up Allie Lynch, and there I am.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks again. So that's a wrap for today's episode, folks. So thank you for tuning in to Best in the Biz, CNA's entrepreneurship podcast. Leave a review if you like today's episode, and keep an eye on all new episodes on our website at www.cna.nl.ca/entrepreneurship and on all other major streaming platforms at Best in the Biz CNA. Thanks.
Thank you.